Hi guys, my name's Adele Onyango and welcome to another episode of Legally Clueless. No, seriously, I have no clue what I'm doing, but I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one. Well, hello. It seems like the holidays are basically over, and if you're listening to this on Monday, it's probably the most Mondayest Monday to ever Monday. Mondays that come right after holidays or right after fun times are always like that, especially if you're going back to like a setting you don't like. So let's say you're going back to a job that you hate. Man, I really feel for you because that was me last year, and I'm going to get to that a little later. But I wanted to share 5 lessons that 2019 taught me that I'm going to be carrying with me into 2020. Lesson number 1, the universe whispers to you. We call it intuition. Learn to listen. And listening means you're going to have to like turn off noise. Now, noise that comes from places that you don't like is easier to turn off, but sometimes the noise comes from like your friends or your family or people you really care about or things you really like doing. But you still have to turn off that noise so that you can really listen to yourself. Lesson number 2, there is power in knowing what you can or can't control. I know this is a lesson that I'm still trying to, get a hang on, but I have learned that life is pretty fluid if I just let it do its thing instead of trying to be like the captain of the ship 24/7, knowing damn well that, there's some things that are way out of my control. Even if I lie to myself that I've controlled them, I really have not. Lesson number 3, no one is coming to save you. That's your job. Yeah, it's a sad but real thing, at least for me. Yeah, you just have to get down in the trenches and do the hard work to save yourself. You are the one who's going to make the tough decisions. I mean, people can give you, and by people I mean like your support system and stuff. They can give you advice and they can support you. They can hold you when you're crying. They can give you hugs. If you're like me, I live for hugs. But when it comes down to doing the actual saving and getting things moving or changing or transforming, that's gotta be stuff that you have to do. Lesson number 4, be mindful of the energy you expose yourself to. And by this, I don't even mean people, because personally, I have a really small circle to begin with. And even let's say in the media industry, in the entertainment industry, I don't have best friends or whatever from that space, because I have gotten, stubbed in the back a couple of times. And also, I mean, the friends I have are friends like Val, who's been on a couple of podcast episodes. We've been friends for 15 years. So, I'm more than happy to have that friend. I have my sisters who are amazing friends of mine. I have one friend who just recently we realized that I've known him for 10 years. So I'm really not shopping for friends, as sad as that sounds. But by energy, I mean like the music you listen to and what you're consuming, the articles you're reading, if you're on social media a lot, the people you're following. All of those things actually transfer energy to you. So I would realize like, if I wake up and maybe there's an account I follow that's complaining about things, rightly so, I mean, they're well within their right to do that, it would put me in a certain mood, especially if it was like the first thing I saw in the morning. So now I'm just very mindful about the energy I expose myself to. I'm mindful, especially of music. Music has such a huge effect on me. And now that I'm not forced to only play hit songs, because when I was on traditional radio, like the music that I used to listen to were literally just like your pop top 100 songs on repeat, which are not bad songs, but they're really not inspiring. So at least now I can listen to those, but also throw in my to Erykah Badu's, my India Ree, my Kendrick Lamar's. Yeah. Anyway, that was lesson number 4. Lesson number 5. Oof. It's a tough one. To become who you want to be, you may have to let go of parts of who you are. It's fucking true, guys. It's so fucking true. So I remember when I was struggling with my job, and I knew I hated it. I hated the person I was becoming. I could feel myself breaking every morning when I was going to work. And I used to be like, oh, it's fine. I will give myself some energy by creating the stuff that I like. And so, I had a vlog, which is Adele on the Loose. I'm really not sure what to do about that. I'm not sure if I want to go back to it or not. So it's still there. Yes, I used to get into that. But I realized like my mind was all over the place because the dominant thing in my mind was like, I fucking hate my job. So to really commit to what I was trying to create, I had to let go of that. That's on like a practical level, but even on an emotional level, there's certain things I'm trying to let go of, like traumas or pain. Actually, not traumas, pain. Pain that I'm holding on to because it's like comfort to me to hold on to it. Does that make sense? Yeah. To carry this pain with me all along. And I'm just really learning that in order for me to become who I want to be, who I can see myself being, like I can see the dope shit that I can do for the continent, for myself. That means I have to let go of dragging this pain with me. That fifth one, I think, is a really important one for me. This time last year, my CEO at the time, and so this is a guy who runs not only the station that I worked for, but the entire media group. So that had 6-7 stations, I can't count all of them. So 6-7 radio stations, a newspaper, one TV station, one TV network. This guy calls me into his office, and before our interactions were very limited. I was a pretty upstanding employee. I never really got into trouble, or let's say they never really found out I was doing anything that would get me into trouble. And so I'd never really interacted with him on like a one-on-one basis. I hadn't worked there for eons because I'd worked there for 7 years. Other people had worked there for like 15 years, 18, So by that point, of course, your boy is with the CEO, or so you think. So let me start from the very beginning. I get an email from his PA, and it's a meeting request. I'm like, oh, fuck, here we go. Because you see, at this point, I've already handed in my resignation on the 27th of December. If you listen to all the Legally Clueless podcasts, you would know this. You have to listen to them like in sequence, guys. Yeah, so I get this email request. I'm like, fuck, here we go. So on the day of the meeting, I go in. I'm very scared because I know this guy is really good with words. I know his end game is to make sure that his station is not stabilized and blah, blah, blah. And I know what I want, and I know that I don't want to be in this space. I don't want to be at this job. But I also know that I have this blind spot, which is I really feel for people. So if you use the right words, like you could get me to do whatever. So yeah, at least I'm aware of it. So I go into the meeting, I'm nervous. He has the general manager in the room as well. And he's normally the guy who would approve if you get a higher salary and blah, blah, blah. So already that communicates to me that they think that I handed in my resignation because they think I needed more money or wanted more money, which was not the case. So I sit down. The CEO brings a copy of my resignation letter, and he's like, oh, I was so shocked that I received this, blah, blah, blah. And I'm smiling because I smile a lot. And I'm just like, I just feel like this job is not fulfilling anymore. It's not serving my purpose. And I even told him, I at the time I hadn't turned 30 because my birthday is in February. I'm like, I'm turning 30 soon. So I really want to make decisions that will impact my next 10 years. I really wasn't lying, but I also was not telling him that your workplace is a negative zone that I just don't want to be part of anymore, which was one of my many reasons for leaving. Anyway, so because I had, and I do this like before or during like a really important decision, I read up a lot. And consult a lot. One of the people that I consulted a lot with was my husband, because he has more experience with people management and things like that than me. So he told me one thing that you have to do when you go into these negotiations or those type of meetings, don't give somebody a reason that they can promise to fix. So if I went there and said, oh, my problem is, because one of my problems was that I was doing so much, like the job of 4 people with minimum support. So I'm producing the show technically and content-wise. I am driving the show, so I am the main host driving the show. During the show, I'm editing everything and lining up the music. I am live tweeting, not only from my account, but from the station's account during the show, running the Facebook and the Instagram. And I was just like, guys, honestly, if I'm doing all of this at the same time for 4 hours, I'm going to drop the ball on one, and we can't afford to have that. Secondly, if you check amazing shows the world over, they have a team dedicated to the show. Anyway, so I couldn't bring that up, because obviously then it would just be like, yeah, I promised to get you this, or I promised to get you that. So my husband had told me, go in there, just say purpose, life, these abstract things. He's like, you're a poet, you'll figure it out. So that's what I did. But what happened is he was jotting down all of this purpose-filled things I was saying. And at the end of the meeting, this guy says, give me 1 week to try and see how your purpose and my station can coexist. I'm like, fuck. This was not the plan. I naively thought he would listen to me and hear me say purpose and all of these hoo-ha words that I was using and be like, no problem, serve your 3 months notice, go and find who you are. So that began our weekly meetings. So in next week's episode, I'll tell you what followed next. But just know, January to March 27th of 2019 felt like 10 years for me. It was 3 months, but it felt like 10 years. But I also learned a lot of legal stuff, and I'll be breaking them down for you in every episode, just so that if you're in the same position, you can try and, protect yourself as an employee. I think we have this culture looking at employees, like we're so grateful to have a job that we actually forget that we have rights and that we are actually being paid not for free. Like we have a skill that we are, given the company, and that is benefiting this company that we're working for. And we're also deserving of protection legally. And there are ways that you can protect yourself legally as an employee. So I'm going to be telling you the ways that I try to protect myself in the following episodes. But I want us to jump into 100 African stories. This week's story is from the Legally Clueless University tour that we did. Went all the way to Meru, which is, let me try to remember. Did it take us 5 hours? Yeah, it's like a 5-hour drive from Nairobi. And we went to Meru University, set up camp the entire day, and recorded about 11 storytellers. This particular story is one of my favorites, especially the bit that he talks about padlocking his pants to the clothing line. Yeah, I know it sounds crazy, but when you listen to his story, it will all make sense.
100 African stories.
There is no proper life that you live in university as a musician.
If I constantly just walked around feeling sorry for myself, I'm never going to get anything done.
There was a bit of frustration in between all of that.
I've been breaking my back for this company.
Therapy is not for the weak or for the crazy.
Stories from Africa.
My name is Anthony. I'm from Nyeri, a place known as Karatina, and currently here at Meru University where I'm pursuing diploma in agriculture. Back in 2015, I was this tiny little boy. Also, as you can see, I'm this tiny. When I joined Form 1, I guess for my first 2 weeks, my journey was smooth, but on the third week, you usually sleep. There is this double decker. As a Form 1, you are not allowed to sleep at the lower part of that double decker. The student who was under me, that is under my my upper part of the double decker. He was a Form 4, and I remember he was very huge. He was known as Mathenge. One evening, as I was from my classes, I happened to find them with a group of friends. What surprised me is that I found them in my box. They had already opened it. I didn't know how they did it, but I just found like everything was just in a mess. You see, I was this tiny, and then I had no courage to approach them and ask them questions because I feared to be bullied. So I just requested them. And I told them, please, who did this? I remember I had 2 pairs of shoes. I had a Rover and then I had Tafis. That day I had worn my Tafis. So Rovers back then, if you had them, you felt you were Bazenga. Rovers, it's a kind of a shoe, so like a Gucci.
Okay.
Like a Gucci. If you had that one, and I remember I had got it from my sister on my birthday. So I found it missing and I asked them, where is my shoe? I can't see my shoe, and I left my box closed, and now it's just open and I can't find my things. They said no, it's not us. So I went and reported it to bullying patron, and I was told to wait. We had this one phone which used to communicate with your parents. So I reported home and I said, Dad, I can't find my belongings and I don't know who broke into my box and everything is in a mess. So right now I don't have shoes to exchange. My dad came to school, and when he came very bitter and found the deputy principal. And then the deputy principal asked my father, who is your son? My name appeared now in the blacklist. I was so tense, and even it reached to a point that I said to my father, now why did you come? Why did you come? I think now I'm okay. Even though I was not okay, I said I was okay. I was this fine. It was sorted, but I didn't find my Rover. Bullying did not stop at that point. Still this man mwenye alikuwa analala chini yangu, that is Mathenge. Now it reached to a point that after classes, that is when you are given like three shirts as you logged in, as in to that school. You are given 3 shirts. Then these 3 shirts, there was this one shirt that you couldn't wear at all costs. Even if the other one is good, you couldn't wear. That one was meant for something we referred to as miondoko. Miondoko is when you are going to a girls' high school. You want to shine there. You want to go looking. You see now. Now that shirt, I happened to clean it and then, as in to wash it, and then as I hanged it, it was stolen. It was still stolen. And then I reached to a point and said, me now I'm going to quit this. You are this Form 1, you are this tiny. You had a lot of expectations. Kifika high school, now I'm a man and all will be good. But to my surprise, things changed completely into a point that even I had to buy Padlocks. You see padlock. You see this part of a trouser, where you put the belt. When you have washed your trouser, then the clothesline, you put a padlock here, and then you attach it there. For security purposes. It reached a time that there was inspection back then, and you were to be clean on Tuesday. On Tuesday it was an inspection day, and everything in the dormitories was to be nice. Well organized. And then I remember it was on Sunday, and then my bed sheet and my bed covers, I wanted to wash them because it was on a weekend, and then because of the Tuesday's inspection, so as I would look gloomy, you see, I did not have enough padlocks to hang all these things. So what I did is that I remember we had remedios on Saturdays. We had remedios until around 2. Remedios, they are like preps, but now you'll be having a teacher. So the only time you had to wash your clothes was from 2 now up to 5. So I didn't attend them, so as I can wash my bed sheets and bed cover and then wait for them until they are dry, because now I would not survive. I would not survive without them, because if you didn't have them and then it came to this inspection day, you are, as in that, even that the deputy principal used to say that you'd be in a hot soup. So now I did it and then I was called now. I was called the deputy principal's office, and remember that my name appeared in the blacklist because of my father. Then I went there and this is what he told me: Kijana, come here. Why did you not attend your remedios? And then I was this terrified, even to speak. Sikuweza kukuongea. Akanishautia, I'm speaking to you. So I had a friend, as in she was a teacher, but a friend of mine, the money to maintain me there. My parents used to send money to her because, you see, I didn't have a phone. So I went and approached her and told her, now, me have a lot of problems, but I don't want you to share them with my father. Because if you happen to share with my father will still come here, and then I don't know what would happen. I don't know what she did, but she went and spoke with the deputy principal, and then I was told, go back to class. It happened that the school, or the Form 4s and the Form 3s, were planning for a strike. They were striking because of mocks. It was that season that schools were being banned like daily, on daily basis. You see, now I was sleeping at a corner like this one, so all the Form 4s and the Form 3s could come and assemble there now to discuss about the strike, and then I'm there. Yeah, I'm listening there. And then they would come. I've covered myself, and I don't want them to notice that I'm listening. But I'm listening, yes. I heard them say, now, what if we use this cowboy here to cover everything up? You know, now I'm listening. I can hear what they are saying. And then all of a sudden, this madhenge who mwenye alikuwa analala chini yangu, he happened to come, kanivurutanisha hivi. I had not even closed my eyes. I was caught unaware. All of a sudden, now the blankets were pulled away. And so now, kijana, you are still listening. You are listening. So this is what we want you to do. We want you, the power source of our dormitories. We want you to go there, switch off the lights, and if you don't obey, you know you don't know. Yeah, so now, if I did this, then it would mean in our school we had CCTVs, and we had even CCTVs in trees. There was a certain avocado tree, and there was a CCTV there. That was evidence that I was to be caught. And that is why they used me. So as I was approaching to that power source, I realized, now what am I doing? What am I doing? If I'm caught, I will be expelled completely out of this school. And then I knew my father. My father is not this calm dad. He's this dad mwenye. If you happen to be caught in a mistake, he would tell you this. My son, now, you know, Kikuyu, it sounds very hard. My son, this money that I'm paying school fees for you, don't waste it. I have a lot of things to invest in. So in Kikuyu, it was very harsh. This is what he used to say. Dakuna tereri, as in, you see even the tone. Dakuna tereri, besha cia kwari, tishia kwa nago. Dina kudu kuige muno, ige shitomira, towe wiki urapa magoko. That even it is not only you who is at school. I have some siblings. So don't waste my money. Do you understand? Now I had gone out to the power source. Something came into my mind, and I said, I think I can do something. I think even though I'm tiny, I can do something to surprise this Form 4s. I returned back to my bed, and then kijana, why are the lights still on? And then I could say, kuna nyuki, as in there was bees. You see, it is in an open. There is bees. And then they said, kuja tukupeleke. When we went together, I looked at him and told now this madhenge, this Form 4 who used to bully me. I told him, you know what? I'm not going to put off the lights. Now kill me. If you want to kill me now. Kill me, but I will not risk my father. It's better I die here, but not by my father's hand. He grabbed me here, and then, kijana, what are you saying? I'm telling you to switch off that light. Now, I said, no, kill me if you want to kill me. You just kill me, I don't care. It happened that another, still Form 1 was passing there, and they used him to switch off the lights. It was a real strike. I remember the strike was started with a single stone. One single stone. It was thrown at a grass. So when it was thrown, then all the students were out, running. And then they did not wakanishika, and then they told me, we are going with you. It is you who started it. And then they pretended that they didn't have any intention of starting a strike. They wanted to put a blame on me, that it's me who put off the light. And then it was me who threw the stone. I reached a point I was even crying. I started crying. No, it's not me. They did not stop at that. Now they were about to take me to the deputy principal, now that it was me. I could not tolerate that. And now going to the deputy principal's office. And remember at first, the blacklist. So I think I told myself, no. I ran. I sneaked out of school. And I remember we were like the whole Form 1s. But I was running from this Form 4. They wanted to take me to the deputy principal, but I didn't want that, because I knew that now I would be totally dead. I remember, as in, we went through a place that looked like a swamp. I had slippers. So the slippers, after nimeingiza mguu, zikakataa kutoka. So now I was running barefooted. And I remember the school was located somewhere around Mount Kenya Forest. It was known as Kiakaifei. high school, boys' high school. We knew if we could use the main road, the tarmac road, we could be caught by the police and then kuchapwa. We went through the forest, and then I remember on my foot the maram. You're running from the police, and then you're this terrified. You see, like me, I'm extremely terrified because I don't know when I reached home. What will I tell my dad if I go back to school? I'm feeling of this from force. We just walked like a place where we used to pay 100 bob. We walked barefooted. Like me, I walked barefooted without any shoe, without anything, until at my foot, as in even maram now had started, as in inaingia hadi kwa mguu. You get. On reaching home now, my father noticed that this is serious. He said that I have understood this, and we are now going to transfer you. We are going to transfer you, but I happened to read a certain article by one monk from Europe. It was saying that the choice that you can make is what that is going to determine who you will be. And one way to overcome fear is standing by you. Is standing as in you stand all by yourself. Don't rely on any person. The idea of transferring me to another high school, I happened to tell me, Dad, I'm not transferring. And now you remember the whole story. And I was sharing with him, but he didn't believe until this time that nilikuja mguu nikiwa na mara. So I said, Dad, I'm going back there. At all costs, I'm going back. Kijana, are you mad now? Last night you came kwa mguu ukiwa na mara. And then all the things that have happened to you. I said, yes, Dad, I'm going back. Go pay the fees, I'm going back. There is nothing someone can't overcome, provided you believe in yourself.
Catch our next African stories in the next episode.
Anthony's story completely made my day while we were in Melbourne. We were recording that because the padlock thing, I never saw it coming. Like, he started talking about, like, I had padlocks. I was like, why? When you're washing your clothes, where do padlocks come into, the picture? But I never went to boarding school. My mom did, and she would always say, none of my kids are ever going to go to boarding school. I don't know why. I don't know what she went through. Could it have been bullying? I don't know, but we just then never went to boarding school. And I remember when I would talk to people who went to boarding school and they always had these fun stories, a part of me would be like, oh man, I wish I went. Until we started as Kenyans having like real conversations about the bullying that happens in some boarding schools. And then we saw the consistency of the strikes that would happen where high school students in boarding schools primarily would like burn the school and stuff. And I was just like, there's something happening in these boarding schools that we're really not addressing. So even as Anthony talks about his story, and everybody's story is their story. What they want to learn from it is really up to them. But when he's talking about it, I'm just like, a Form 1 really shouldn't have to be dealing with certain things. I don't know what I would do if like my kid arrived home with like maram in their feet because they were running away, not only from the police, but also from Form 4 students. What the hell? I also found it so interesting that he got inspired by a monk all the way from Europe. It's so crazy that across continents, inspiration is just flying left and right. I also did not want this episode to end without me sending some love to a couple of people who have been DMing the Legally Clueless podcast Instagram page, which is Legally Clueless Podcast. Sometimes it takes me a while to respond because either I do that thing where I read it and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to respond, and then I respond in my head and not actually hit send. Or I'm also like trying to tell myself that I do deserve a successful podcast. Like I do deserve people listening to this podcast because I pour my heart and soul into making each episode every single week. But part of me is still like, do I really deserve this? So when I see like nice messages, I'm just like, oh my God. oh my God, I don't deserve this. And then I end up not responding. It's a thing. I don't know if it's anyone who does that, but it's the thing. But thank you, Tundu Tanganga. Thank you so much for sending through that message. Mukami Mbogo, Cherry Kerubo, Wanja Shirima, there's me, Sarcastic Never, Samoina K, and there's Olivia Hungary, and Crispin Lukidi. Crispin used to listen to my radio show on Kiss FM, and now he doesn't miss any of the Legally Clueless episodes, so that really means a lot to me. Obviously, I cannot make a podcast of just shouting out everybody, but you who's listening, I truly appreciate it. And I really just wish you the strength to conquer your fear and create that thing that you really want to create, but you're scared it's not going to succeed or people are not going to receive it well. Just get up and do it. Learn from me. And that's it for this episode of Legally Clueless. You can share this podcast with your friends. You can keep it for yourself. I'm not judging. Just make sure you're here next week for the next episode.